Thanks, Ron. It's been said that to love is to open yourself up to the possibility of immense joy and indescribable pain. And for Donna Mason, the pain has come in a double dose. First, with the heartbreaking loss of her best friend of 35 years to breast cancer, and then just a few months later, the tragic sudden death of her 23-year-old daughter. But it's her peace, in spite of the pain, that sets Donna apart. Donna, thank you so much for coming to 100 Huntley Street.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Now, it was just a few weeks ago, Donna, that you wrote me this letter. And I have to tell you, as I was reading it, I was crying throughout. Just your heart comes through as you described the events of your life for the last several months, but also the peace that you found in God through it all. Tell me, let's start with the letter. Why did you write to us?
Well, every month I look forward to receiving the Crossroads Compass publication, yes. And when I received the January 2012 issue, it immediately caught my attention because when I flipped it over, you were featuring the book Heaven is for Real.
Right.
And that book was just such a lifesaver in getting us through that crisis with my daughter in the fall. And not only that, but the comments that you and Ron wrote just spoke so deeply to my deepest emotions and thoughts and experiences that I have been going through. And in addition to that, Ron had also mentioned that it was Huntley Street's 50th anniversary. And I just...
Crossroads 50 years ago this year was established.
And I just, you know, took a minute to reflect back on the impact that your ministry has had on my friends and my family and so many other lives. And it's just an incredible ministry. And I just wanted to take some time to share some of my experiences with you. And
yeah, well, thank you for that. And we're so, you know, honored that we can be a part of your life and a part of many people's lives, their journey, their spiritual journey with the Lord. Now, the first part of your letter talks about Diane, your best friend of 35 years. Actually, you and Diane had come out to our women's conferences every fall.
Absolutely, whatever chance we got. Diane and I, we're best friends since grade 9. We both became Christians in our 20s, and that was quite a story as well. But we became soul sisters, and we were on a spiritual journey together. And Huntley Street was her favorite ministry. She was such an advocate of your ministry. And when before she died, she designated it as her charity of choice. And she faithfully wanted to go to the conferences, and we did do that.
The last conference, in fact, you were telling me that she was so unwell physically, but she still wanted to attend our fall conference.
Yes, so in August 2009, she was diagnosed with a very aggressive breast cancer. In October, she was receiving chemotherapy. And she knew that the conference was coming up. We knew that the conference was coming up in November, and she was so adamant that we would still go. And not only go, but this time we would bring our daughters, her daughter Michelle and my daughter Jennifer. And this was a very great risk for her because her immune system was suppressed. She'd lost all her hair. It was her 50th birthday. She was going to be away from her family. And it was just, but she was so determined. And because we had learned so much from those conferences, the conferences used to be called Women Who Win. And there was a big name change. And that name change to First Love Conference based on Revelations 2:4, which commands us that God must be our first love. He must come before, and Diane and we learned that from the conferences. We learned that from knowing the Lord. We learned that, you know, God must come before ourselves, our spouses, our husbands, our children, our careers.
It's that relationship with God.
Yes.
That if we have that sensitive, intimate relationship with Him, then all other relationships are enriched and are moving forward. And you were sharing with me that actually walking through Diane's illness with her and seeing her amazing faith.
How she handled her illness on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I didn't get to see her every day. We lived in different towns, but she had an amazing strength and a peace, and she always looked happy. She never complained. She always looked joyful. And it was such an inspiration to so many people. In February 2009, she was told her cancer was terminal and she only had a few months to live. She felt the Lord directed her to share her testimony, and she did. And on a day in March at her church, she invited over 100 guests, but around 75 people showed up, and many of them were non-Christians, non-believers. And she gave the most strongest testimony of faith I have ever heard. One thing she really emphasized was that she had learned to live above her circumstances, the circumstances of her illness. And what I kept thinking about was, in the Bible, as Peter stepped out of the boat, and as he walked towards Christ on the water, and as long as he stayed focused on Christ, and that's what Diane kept saying, she was able to live above her circumstances as long as she stayed focused on Christ. But as Peter walked across the water, and he suddenly started to become aware of the waves and the wind, he started to sink, and Christ reached out and grabbed him. And Diane really taught me that, and now with my daughter, living above the circumstances is possible if you keep your focus on Christ.
And so it was in May, I believe, of 2010.
That's correct, yeah.
That Diane went home to be with the Lord.
She did.
And then it was just several months later that you found yourself facing, like I said earlier, indescribable pain. The pain that as a parent, you know, it's our worst nightmare to lose a child. And on September 23rd of last year, that's what happened in your family.
5 months from today. And so today is special.
Yes, it is. And that's why I really appreciate you just coming and you're such a brave woman. And this was your choice to come and now to speak about Jackie's life, what happened with Jackie, and to just share what God has done in your family since then.
I really felt that the Lord was orchestrating this, and that I had to come and speak. Even though it would be difficult, I knew He would give me the strength, because He's given me so much strength through both Diane and Jackie. And with their deaths being 16 months apart, that's a pretty hard, bitter pill to swallow.
So on September the 23rd, Jackie was 23 years old.
Yes.
She was driving an ATV.
Yes, and she went over a cliff on our property and
died instantly.
She died very quickly, yes, yes.
So as a mother, you get this phone call, you're at work.
Yes.
What happened?
Yes, I was at work and received a phone call. And I just, I felt calm and at peace. I was guided into a room, and the police said, "You must come home quickly." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, I need to pray." So I got in my cubicle, I got down on my knees, and I prayed. And a peace came over me, and that I was able to comfort a distraught ambulance attendant. And yeah, it was amazing. But,
there's a verse in Isaiah chapter 26, verse 3. It says, He, God, will keep you in perfect peace as your mind is stayed on Him, because you trust in Him.
Absolutely. It really was a peace that transcended all understanding. I mean, by all rights, I shouldn't have been able to even talk or...
So you already had that intimate relationship with Him. And so as you're walking this amazing journey of pain, I couldn't imagine.
Well, and Jackie was such a wonderful daughter. She was beautiful inside and out. This
is your family.
This is our family. There's my husband on the left, my daughter Jackie next to him, my daughter Jennifer, and myself.
Right.
Yeah. Jackie had a pure heart, and she loved unconditionally. She loved she touched everyone who crossed her path. She had many learning disabilities, and I remember her grade 1 teacher said, "Oh, she'll never she'll fail grades. She'll never go to college. She'll never go to university." But she had such a fierce determination that she exceeded all their expectations and more. And that's why she encouraged so many people, and so many people were touched by her innocence and her love and her pure heart and her pure joy. She was just, and her sense of humor, she was just a wonderful person to be with, yeah.
And at her funeral, I was told that you were a rock at her funeral. Where did you find the strength to get up and speak and encourage and minister to those who were at the funeral?
looking back, I still don't know where I got the strength, but I knew that it was my one chance. I know that God gave me the strength, and that it was my one chance to honor my daughter. And she ran her race so well that she deserved that.